Hello and welcome to the Alpha Edge Podcast, the show for men over 50 who refuse to fade out, slow down, play small, or settle for average. I'm your host, Kevin English. I'm a healthy aging expert, coach, and founder of the Alpha Edge, and I am here to help you get and stay strong in every dimension of your life, physically, mentally, emotionally, morally, and spiritually. You're here because you're ready to reclaim your power, to own your masculinity, and lead your life with strength and purpose. If you're ready to sharpen your edge, revive your drive, and lead like a man who's built for more, you're in the right place. All right, men, let's get after it. All right, men, before we dive into this interview, let me ask you a serious question. When was the last time you woke up with some serious morning wood? And more importantly, do you know what that might be telling you about your heart, your hormones, and your overall health? Today's conversation is going to challenge the way you think about sexual health and show you why your erection is more than just a performance issue. It is a vital sign. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Elliot Justin. He's a 40-year veteran of medicine, a true pioneer in sexual wellness innovation, and he's the founder of FirmTech, the world's first sex tech company developing smart wearables for tracking erectile fitness. Dr. Elliot's work is flipping the script on men's health, bringing real data into a space that's been dominated by awkward silence and guesswork for far too long. In this episode, you'll hear how over 85,000 erections have given us new insight into cardiovascular health, how to use sexual performance as an early warning system for disease, and why tracking your nighttime erections might just be one of the smartest things you do for longevity, vitality, and yes, your confidence in the bedroom. This is an eye-opening, myth-busting, and surprisingly entertaining conversation that every man over 50 needs to hear. All right, guys, let's dive into my conversation with Dr. Elliot Justin.
And I actually don't think that neurophysiologically we still really know what all that's involved in producing erections in men or women for that matter. But everything at some point should be controllable through electricity. Everything in the body eventually is about electric signals. So we don't know. It was interesting. Anyway, years passed. And a urology professor at the University of Utah said he wanted to work with me. This was about 4 years ago. And he wanted to count the number of nocturnal erections that are a leading indicator. He said, and I said, why? And I said, well, they're a leading indicator of man's cardiovascular health. The urologists say the penis is the canary in the coal mine of cardiovascular disease. Right. And that really interested me. And Brian Johnson's popularized this a bit, but most doctors still actually don't really understand this because if your number of nocturnal erections goes down by 50%, you have a 50% chance of having a heart attack in 2 or 3 years. So that's really powerful. Leading indicators in medicine means it's predictive. In medicine, we treat associations. High blood pressure is associated with heart attack. Elevated lipoproteins are associated with cardiovascular disease, but they're not predictive. I mean, your blood pressure can go up and you can't actually say, okay, you're going to have a heart attack or a stroke. So this doctor, like most doctors, is what I call a cock ring virgin. I'm not.
Okay. I would imagine that describes a lot of general physicians, right? Or maybe even urologists.
I think
I don't know.
It describes most straight men. And it's a
fair
mistake.
Enough,
So we joke that you can tell the difference between a gay doctor and a straight doctor with one question: do you use a cock ring? And the gay doctor will say, look at that. Are you an idiot? Yeah, of course I do. Like last night, you got a better one. And the straight doctor's like, oh, I don't need that. That's for right. Some people, not for me. I don't need that.
Right.
And that was my attitude a few years ago. It's not my attitude anymore. Anyway, I told this doctor, why just count nocturnal erections? Let's look at all erections. Because what do men care more about? The ones that they have when they're sleeping or the ones they have when they're trying to have sex or they're having sex? So basically what we've done is embed sensors into what I prefer to call an erection ring rather than a cock ring, because it's not some toy to be trivialized. It's not some $15 thing you go to a sex toy store and you buy and use once or twice. So I'm confident that within 3 to 5 years, for men over the age of 45 or 50, or men who are interested in improving their performance and knowing what's hurting their performance, getting data is going to become the standard for care. Just the way we don't go to doctors today and tell them, hey, I think I have high blood pressure. My face flushes when I work out. And the doctor says, yeah, Kevin and Elliot, you guys I think you have high blood pressure. Take this pill. Come back in 3 months. Let's see. Tell me how you're doing. No, we expect the guy to take our blood pressure, get an electrocardiogram, check out our lipoproteins and other factors, because we're looking for things that for screening tests that will both tell us if we are sick, how sick are we, And if we're not sick, good to know. But now I have a baseline that I can compare it to. Because right
Right.
now, all of us, even a young man like you, Kevin, an old man like me, I'm 72, we're all on the road from erectile fitness. I like the phrase fitness to dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
We're a fitness-oriented culture. And the problem with most men is not that they're dysfunctional, it's that they have a fitness issue. And we don't tell someone who wants to run 2 miles or someone wants to bench press their body weight. We don't tell them, well, you're really dysfunctional right now. Your situation is really hopeless. No, we tell them, well, here's a regimen. You're not going to be able to do this tomorrow,
Right.
but
Here's a
here's a
plan.
plan. We're
Yeah.
working on it.
Here's
And
a
that's
strategic roadmap to
exactly.
get there. Yeah.
So we're on
Right.
this road from fitness to dysfunction, and we don't know where the F we are because we don't have a dashboard. We don't have an engine light that goes on and says, hey, Elliot, before your exhaust fluid is gone, refill it. Or, your tank is only a quarter full right now. You might want to think about getting some gas. We don't have those things. So the Tech Ring, which is our premier product, provides men with a dashboard. It's also an effective erection ring, provides men with a dashboard about their sexual health. And that's profoundly valuable. And that will become the standard of care in the future.
All right. I want to pull a bunch of this apart. I'm
Sure.
fascinated by this idea of getting metrics. I personally wear the Whoop ring here, right? So I get that information. Most people these days have something, right? Even whether it's just Apple Health or a Fitbit, a watch, a Whoop, an Aura, something like that. So for men, what you're saying is erection fitness. I love that terminology. Is the canary in the coal mine, right? If we're waking up without morning wood, if we're not having these nighttime erections,
One isn't
that's
enough.
a indicator. What's that?
I said one is not enough. Morning wood is
One
not
is
enough.
not enough.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, okay. So talk to us then. What does erection fitness look like? So I'm 61. What
Sure.
should my
For you,
what should my
you should,
fitness erection look like right now?
well,
Should I be having multiple
yes,
erections
you should
during
be.
the
You should be
night?
having
Just
3+
gotcha.
nocturnal erections per night.
Gotcha.
Because when we first came out with a product, the ring at the CS Consumer Electronics Show 2.5 years ago in Las Vegas, our database was like 800 erections, probably a third of which were probably mine. Not exaggerating, probably a quarter of which were mine.
Right.
And now the database is 85,000 erections. So you would be comparing
You
yourself
got a lot of data.
to me.
Yeah.
You'd be comparing yourself to a couple of thousand men within 10 years of your age bracket, and you'd be able to
Right.
say, what am I above average? Am I below average in terms of my duration nocturnals, hardness hardness of my sex erections? And going forward, as our data gets bigger, you can compare. If you're diabetic, you can compare yourself to diabetic your age or hypertensive your age.
Mhm.
Right now, those comparisons are limited because we are really strict about observing people's privacy. So we don't.
Sure.
You
Sure.
guys get permission. But you allude to having Whoop. We live with this incredible age of healthcare wearables, smart watches, smart rings, smart bands,
Sure.
smart scales, and there's this gap, and that's sex. And what do men care more about than their blood pressure yesterday or the quality of their sleep? And the
Good point.
answer is
Yep.
sex.
Yeah.
A guy's mental health is usually only as good as the last 2 or 3 erections, and some of us it's just the last one. So the device is really giving men. It's like a new vital sign, and it's a vital sign. It's the vital signs of every guy's probably favorite organ if they not counting the brain.
Sure.
So it's a game changer. And so a man your age, just the way I'm certain you know that you probably have a normal electrocardiogram. You know that you probably have normal blood pressure. You look like you're in good health. You know what your little proteins are. If you're at all into hacking your health, you probably know about some of your inflammatory markers and other factors, but you don't know about your sexual health. And you can still be performing
Right.
sexually and and your vital signs could be screwed up. Just the way if you're driving a car and your tank only have like 1/16 of gas left, but you don't have a gas fuel gauge, you're in trouble. You don't know that. Hey, I'm
Right.
still cruising along. Everything's great. So we know that at least 2 men have gotten cardiac catheterizations as a result of using our device. We had a guy identified an adrenal tumor. We've had other anyway. Men can actually. The major problem for men though is actually some of the medication. The major problem for men, not the major problem, but the major problem for men is that doctors prescribe medications that affect their sexual performance, antihypertensives and antidepressants, sleep medications, blow medications if they have prostate enlargement that affect their sexual performance. And the doctors never warn men, almost never, not always, but not almost never warn men about the sexual side effects because doctors don't prioritize sexual health, and they should. We're assholes about
Right.
that.
Well, yeah. So a couple interesting things there. You're right. Doctors, my general physician has never asked me about my sexual health, and that would be something I would have to take to him, which as a man is a tough thing to do. Let's face that. What guy wants to go in and admit to that? But
And
if we're talking about also baseline health, and I do know that if I go to my doctor and say, hey, all of a sudden I can't get an erection, he's probably a little bit alarmed, is going to run some tests, right? Because that is, again, like you said, that's the canary in the coal mine for potential cardiovascular dysfunction somewhere. There's probably I'm guessing some blockage of blood flow is what they're being alarmed about there. But going back to this idea of on this, what we want for men is not just to be not sick, but we want optimal health. We want optimal strength. We want to be holistically healthy and strong. And certainly sexual health is a big piece of that. So would you say, hey, Kevin, a guy like you should be having a minimum of 3 good solid erections a night? And we've got all this data here. I have no way of knowing whether I do or not, or what affects that, right? Are there periods in my life where that's flagging and periods of that where that's sensational? I don't really know. I know my sexual performance, right? And how that kind of is tied maybe to overall to stress or other factors in my life. But I don't have the way, for example, I've got this Aura ring. If I were to take magnesium every night for 30 days, I could see if that did or did not affect my sleep, for example. I could do a regiment of HIIT and see, does that increase my VO2? I've got all these metrics, but I have nothing really to gauge my sexual health with here. So let's talk about sexual fitness. I like that word, erection fitness, as opposed to say erectile dysfunction. But does a man's erectile fitness, or should we expect a man's erectile fitness to diminish as he ages because he's aging, or is it because of his lifestyle changes as he ages? Maybe, in other words, is it a function of age, or is it a function of my lifestyle? Because I'm getting older now, maybe I'm not doing my strength training. I'm not,
well, it's
I'm
probably
more
both,
sedentary. I'm
Kevin. It's
a
probably
little
both.
bit of both. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard to parse it out. Well, although
Sure.
obviously getting data can help. So let's talk about lifestyle.
Mhm.
And I'll talk about what our data shows that's really interesting. Wasn't what the doctors expected. Yeah, it's important to be in good cardiovascular health. It's embarrassing if you're having sex and you get winded.
Sure.
But
There. Yeah.
and so smoking, obesity, terrible cardiovascular fitness is going to affect your sexual performance. But is that the primary factor for men's deteriorating performance? And we all deteriorate. Sort of, it's just the nature of getting older. We all deteriorate.
Sure. Yeah.
What else is going on? Well, arousal and ejaculation are largely smooth muscle functions, not skeletal muscle. So just so you really
Right.
understand, your skeletal muscle, the muscles we control. You can go to the gym, and you can improve your skeletal muscle function. You can improve your cardiac function. Guys who have, especially men who have had prostate surgery or bladder surgery, pelvic floor exercises, or they're obese, pelvic floor exercises are really valuable for them. But do they put more
Mhm.
blood to the penis? Unlikely. Why? Because getting blood to the penis is a smooth muscle function, not a skeletal muscle function. So yeah, stay fit. Lifestyle is really important. Obviously, if you're obese, drunk, you're going to have trouble having sex just because of those two things alone. I'm exaggerating, but
Sure.
the all things being equal, those things are not probably the major reasons why men complain of deteriorating performance. So all men, women too, but all men as we get older, we all suffer from deteriorating health on the venous side of our circulation. So now I don't know if this is true for extreme athletes. I don't know. I do know a couple of two athletes my age, close to my age, I've asked about this, and they actually have the same problem that I have, which is, hey, if I sit on a plane for 8-10 hours, my socks might get a little tight unless I move around.
Mhm.
My rings might get a little tight. And why is that? Because it didn't happen when I was 25 years old. And actually probably in better cardiovascular health now than it was back then because
Sure.
I'm older and paying attention, whatever. Because the smooth muscle around on our venules, our small veins, as we get older, the smooth muscle gets weaker, and the little venules get stiff from calcifications. So in our ankles and fingers, it means we don't pump blood back to our heart the way we did when we were younger. In our penis, it means we don't hold blood in our penis when we're having sex. And every man can prove this to himself tonight if you wanted to. Every single person listens to the show. All you gotta do is go wherever you go when you're masturbating, and most guys masturbate. That's all you gotta say, when they're alone. At some point, even you might say, whatever. Some guys might be every day, some guys
Right.
might be a week, but they do that. You go to wherever you go when you get rock hard, and then do nothing, and then see how long it takes for erection to go down, like 25, 35 seconds. If you're 14, 15 years old, it could be a lot longer than that. Why is that?
Mhm.
We're older. Then get rock hard again and put a ring on it. our ring, of course, our ring is the only ring research proof for safety, but any erection ring will do. Go to your local toy store, sex toy store, and get one for $15. Go online. Ours are more expensive because they're for reasons of safety and performance, but any ring will do. Put the ring on, and you're going to stay hard for probably a couple minutes. Well, why is that? Because the ring is holding blood in that, and when you're 14 years old, you hold a girl's hand for 5 minutes, you get an erection for an hour and a half. That doesn't happen as men get older. And men actually start to deteriorate in the late 20s and early 30s. And no one knows why. And there are no papers looking at this obvious issue of deterioration of performance for men. So what have we learned from the data? And what do the doctors expect, and what have we learned? The doctors, the academic urologists who set the standards for treatment of erectile dysfunction, they see the sickest people in the practices. And the sickest people are men who can't get it up or really struggle to get it up. And that's like 10, 12% of men. And those men have they've got angina, they've had heart attacks, they've got significant hypertension and diabetes, often in combination, taking medications. That I have no problem with describing that as a dysfunctional, the word dysfunction is appropriate. But for the 85% plus of other men, as they get older, who get an erection and lose it, well, it's potentially multifactorial. So it can range from, I've got a mild combination of diabetes, hypertension, I'm taking some medicines, and in combination with the loss of confidence that goes along with that. Because all it has to happen for a guy is 2, 3, 4, 5 failures, and he has a totally different mindset. And a guy who's worried about losing his erection will likely lose his erection because of his sympathetic nervous response. And in combination with these other factors, medications, it could be alcohol. I'll put it this way. I do like to drink. I drink less now than when I was younger, but I enjoy drinking. I like the buzz. If I can't get it up, if I'm worried about getting it up because I've been drinking, I don't have dysfunction. Why would I even characterize myself having dysfunction? I'm disappointed because I have a problem. And the problem can be fixed one of two ways: drink less or put a ring on it. So, or the other issue that there are obviously there are relationship issues that you could be thinking, hey, can I pay, or can I pay the mortgage? There's a baby crying next door, or it could be I'm worried, my wife criticized me, or there are two things that men don't like to discuss with women that a lot of guys, older guys, discuss with me as both customers and patients. One is they're bored. They're married to the same person for 25, 30 years. No, and she wants to have sex in the one position that works for her. She likes the best, and it doesn't work for him. Could be the missionary position, could be from behind. And the guy's mindset is, if I have sex in that position, I'm going to lose my erection. But he doesn't want to tell that because that's the end of sex. And the other is a loss of friction. So anyway, why are older men losing their erections? There are mental factors, there are medical factors, and recreational drugs, alcohol, and these things can be sorted out with data. So here's what the data is showing. The urologists know that the incidence of erectile dysfunction goes up 10% per decade after age 50. By my age, it's 70%. That's a lot of men having problems. The expectation was, as men get more hypertension, diabetes, atherosclerosis, the expectation was that the number of nocturnal erections would go down, the firmness of nocturnal erections would go down, the firmness of sex erections would go down. And if you exclude the 10, 12% of men who are the sickest, it's not happening. Men are staying just as firm in nocturnal erections, having just as pretty much same number of nocturnal erections until late 60s, early 70s. And even then, the deterioration is not enough to say, oh, these guys their heart's not pumping enough blood, or their arteries are too narrow, because they're still getting relatively firm erections. So why are they reporting more dysfunction? It has to be something going on, not on with the heart or the arteries, but something on the other side of the circulation. And there are two factors. One, as we get older, we lose blood from our penis faster, and the answer is a ring. And the other is the loss of confidence and the sympathetic nervous system response with long loss of confidence. That also accelerates blood leaving the penis. And the answer for men, regardless of the cause, in general, is a ring. So yeah, you should drink less. You need to be in good condition. Hey, maybe you don't just smoke that entire joint, or whatever those factors are. But every erection, if you get an erection, every erection ends with blood leaving the penis, and the goal is to keep blood in the penis. So the tadalafil, Viagra, Cialis Viagra, they put more blood in the penis, which is good, but they don't keep it there. Men need help keeping it there. And if you told me 4 years ago, Kevin, that I'd be promoting erection rings, I would have said, no,
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
not me, because I don't need one.
Right.
I don't need one. Now I understand, though, that it's not about need, it's about want. And there's one message I'd like your over 50 audience of men to take away from this is, it's not about need, it's about want. Do you want to rock harder, hold more blood in your penis, be more confident, last longer, and likely have a more intense orgasm? And any guy who says no to those things should have like a red X in their forehead so that women and gay guys know, stay away from this person because you don't want to be involved with them.
Hey, brother, quick question. Are you living like a modern stoic, or are you getting tossed around by life? I put together a free workbook titled The Stoic Edge. It's a 7-day action plan to help you master your mind, your emotions, and your responses so you can lead yourself and your family with grounded strength. If you want to stop reacting and start leading, grab your free copy now. You can find the download link in the show notes for this episode or head over to alphaedgearmy.com. Yeah. Okay. So that's interesting. So what you're saying here for most men then is I guess it's this venous return, the blood leaving the penis, which is the issue. Assuming that when you're aroused, you can get erect. I take it at that point, I'm going to put a ring on.
You can probably beforehand.
Go on before?
Beforehand.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter when you put it on, huh?
To play with the name of your show, if you want to have an alpha cock, put a ring on it. And not the problem with the rings that you buy at the sex toy store is that these hard silicone O-rings. And you have to be erect to have that really effectively clamp off the circulation. And that's the problem. It clamps off the circulation. So they only safe about 20, 30 minutes of sex. A lot of older guys, one, they have diabetes or hypertension, the circulation is compromised. The rings can actually be deleterious. They can harm the penis. Also, a lot of older guys, myself included, I'd like to have sex more than 20, 30 minutes. I don't want that to be thinking, this is starting after 20 minutes, this is starting to hurt. I got to take this off. I don't want to think about that. So I didn't get into this to build a better erection ring. I got into this to get data, the vital signs of men's sexual health, and also learn about men's cardiovascular health through looking at blood flow in the penis. But in order to do that, we had to reinvent the erection ring. We had to come up with a ring that could be worn overnight and worn safely overnight. And that meant we had to move from silicone as a material to elastomer as a material. And because silicone makes us adapt to them. Elastomers are more likely to adapt to us. So elastomer erection ring, and we make one of the only ones. There are other companies that make them, but the elastomer allows the blood to flow in. So you can put it on when you're flaccid. You can put it on discreetly. You can put it on hours before you have sex. It just constrains the venous return. So it doesn't interfere with getting hard, nor does it cut off the circulation. Imagine a plug on a bathtub that's covering it, say 50, 60%. So there's no danger of this of priapism of 3 or 4 hour erection, leading to problems. So the ring, again, we've documented 85,000 erections. That's for the tech ring. We've sold over almost 21,000 devices now. We have non-tech versions as well too that are less expensive. We sell more of them. So our rings have been used hundreds and hundreds of thousands of times. No one's had to go to the ER. No one's had to put medicine on. No one's had to see a doctor because we changed the material from elastomer to silicone because of its material advantages.
All right. To be clear, then, it sounds like we've got two different types of rings, right? You've got the performance ring. This is the ring. So I want to put on because I want to have a longer, firmer erection, potentially a better orgasm. It's going to maintain that erection. Then I have the separate ring, which is collecting data.
Right. And it can also function as an erection ring because it's adjustable. You make it tighter or loose depending upon comfort.
Okay.
But the other ring, we make two, the performance ring, and the other one's called the maximum performance ring. They were designed specifically to be used by men for longer sex sessions than conventional erection rings.
Got it.
They're easy on and off. They open and close with a hook as opposed to being this loop you got to slide down your penis. The maximum performance ring, actually, there are two papers, one we did internally, one done independently, showing that it's as effective, if not more effective, than 10 milligrams of Cialis. Why would it be more effective? Because, as I said before, men's problem is not actually getting blood in, it's keeping blood in.
It's leaving.
Yeah. But if a man wants to, if every man listening to the show wants to maximize his performance, optimize it, put a ring on it and take a pill. And we're not
put a ring on it and take a pill. Right. You're saying, but do the both, because I guess take the pill then what we're doing there, that's the nitric oxide
Exactly. You're
booster type
maximizing blood flow.
Cialis,
Yeah.
Viagra, right? That's what's happening there. I'm just getting
Yeah.
the blood to flow in.
But what's
So
interesting,
I've got that part of the equation, and then you're capturing the blood flowing out part of the
correct.
equation. So,
But men
got it.
can use our device, and so can doctors, to figure out what's the right dose of Viagra or Cialis. But right now, in most of medicine, we don't, except in psychiatry and urology, we don't prescribe pills without data in general. Hey, Kevin, or
Right.
hey, Elliot, take this blood pressure pill. I'd like to at least get a blood pressure reading a couple of times a week. Come back in 3 months. We'll see how you're doing. We don't just say, hey, Elliot, take this pill and come back in 3 months. We look for data. If someone has a cardiac rhythm problem, we don't just say, hey, your pulse is irregular. Take this pill and come back in 3 months. That's what we're doing with these medications. I'll pick on tadalafil because that's the most commonly prescribed one. Cialis, the brand name. It's 5, 10, 20 milligrams. Well, right now, it's like, hey, take 5. Doesn't work, take 10. Doesn't work, take 20. Well, working can now be defined objectively. It's not just subjective reporting. The male mindset is, hey, working could be, I want to have sex like I did when I was 20 years old. Well, if you're 70 years old, that's not happening. Increase the dosage. It's not going to do that. So with a tech ring, you can actually say, okay, I'm going to take this dose, and now I'm going to look at my nocturnal erections. Are they lasting longer? Are they firmer? Am I getting more blood flow? Am I getting another one? So I know for myself, I take 5 of Cialis, 5 of tadalafil every day. But if I go to 10 or 20, there's no difference in my data. So why would I increase the dose? It's not having any impact. And men can now use our technology, as can their doctors, to look at every aspect of men's sexual performance improvement. Testosterone, what's the right dose? Am I having more nocturnals? Are they firmer, etc.? Shockwave therapy, do I need it? How sick is my penis? And if I'm going to get shockwave therapy, what's my endpoint? Maybe your endpoint should be having 3+ nocturnal erections because that's what's normal for your age. Picking on you, Kevin, in case you want to get shockwave therapy.
Right on. Yeah.
But if you had 3+ nocturnal erections and you want to and the guy wants to charge you $6, $10, $12,000 for the therapy, the only benefit is going to be up here. There's a placebo benefit. Placebo is powerful, but you have a normal. If you're having 3+ nocturnal erections, and they're lasting, say, total of 75 to 90 minutes per night, you're normal. Any issues you might be having in bed are likely to be of the psychosocial or alcohol, recreational drug,
or environmental or psychological.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So this is pretty fascinating because, like you're saying, now I've got this data. I can do this self-experimentation. So I want to run a couple of things by you, and I want you and your expertise and your opinion to give me a scale 1 to 10. We'll just kind of maybe rapid fire some of these things. You tell me which of these things is a 1, meaning just don't bother, and 10, yeah, in my experience looking at all this data, this is going to help move the needle when it comes to erection fitness. We'll do some lifestyle things first.
Sure.
And first is we're big in this group on getting strong. We talk about holistic strength. We have 5 pillars of strength, but let's just talk about come on, man. There we go. Those of you in podcast land didn't see it. Yeah. Elliot's got some guns here. 71. You're my hero. That's what I want to be doing, is sporting guns when I'm 71 as well. But yeah, I'm talking about that kind of strong. What benefit or not is that going to help me when it comes to erection health?
Well, it's obviously, there's a self-esteem vanity aspect to it as well too. You can be
There you
negative
go. All right, that's
vanity,
fair.
or you can be positive about it and say, look, it feels good to look good. I like the fact that people look at me and say, hey, you're 70 years old. I can't believe it. You look great. It's nice to get that.
So guy's a ripped grandpa.
Yeah. I also, hey, by the way, if you really want to play with people's heads, lie up by 10 years. If I tell people I'm 82, it's like, oh my God, what are you doing, 82? They throw money at me to find out what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Kevin, you're what are you, 74 years old? Oh my God, man, look at you. Okay,
yeah, look at me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Other than the glasses, God, you're an animal.
Yeah.
Right. As one guy with glasses to another. So there's that aspect as well too, and I like the fact that my wife and my wife's friends look at me and think, yeah, he looks better than my husband or whatever. There's that self-esteem aspect to it, which is important to men. It's obviously important to women as well too.
Mm-hmm.
Cardiovascular health is important. Look. My wife and I, and most men, and frankly, most women don't want this. We don't want to have HBO sex. If my wife right now came in and I picked her up, wrapped the legs around me, and threw her against the wall, she'd think, "You're a fucking asshole. What are you doing? I got work to do." So there's not. I don't need. You don't have to be that super strong. You're not gonna have. That this is some. But you don't want to get winded while you're having sex. So it's important to be good cardiovascular health. Otherwise, you're just having sex on your back, and your party's
All
going
right.
to
So
get.
if we're gonna give that a 1 to 10, just overall
I
strength
give
and
it an 8.
cardiovascular health.
I give it an
That's an
8.
8.
Yeah,
All
it's an
right.
8.
I love
Yeah.
it. I absolutely love it. All right. What about nutrition? Me cleaning up my diet, not eating a bunch of processed sugar, maybe avoiding alcohol, eating real clean whole foods, maybe getting protein in.
So
1,
that's
10,
hard.
somewhere
That's
between.
hard. It's hard to prove, Kevin. And I will
Yeah.
say that, okay, for me, and maybe there's placebo benefit as well too. Yeah, I eat first, other than maybe a sausage a week. I eat virtually no processed foods that I'm aware of.
Right on.
So,
Yeah.
and I do like to drink, but I have cut back because right now there's a very negative alcohol push going on in the medical literature and in general. I'm not persuaded that it's as bad as being represented, as long as it's not being done in relative moderation. I would actually give that probably a 5 because we don't know. I mean, if you're diabetic,
We
it's
don't know.
different.
Yeah.
If you're diabetic, it's a disaster.
Yeah. Right.
If you have but diabetes being the leading metabolic disorder, I think it's more important to watch your weight, to not be obese. I would I would
Yeah.
give an 8 too, because I think
Okay.
nutrition is really
That's fair.
nutrition is
Yeah.
really important.
Nutrition obviously plays a huge part of that,
But
right? Along with
I
sedentary.
can't sit here and say, you know what, if you love hot dogs and have a hot dog every day, that your dick's going to die. I don't believe that.
Right. Gotcha. All right. Fair enough. What about sleep?
Critically important. And it's really fascinating.
Critically. So that's,
Because
yeah.
one thing I've noticed with the technology. Well, here's something interesting. And I'll say for myself, I'm a bad sleeper. I've been a bad sleeper since I was a teenager. I'm a 5 to 6 hour a night person. I find it hard to fall asleep. I wake up early. And I still have this issue. I am unable to push myself past 6.5 to 7 hours. Of course, in all the statistics, of course, say I should be getting 8, 9 hours sleep, especially my wife. Can't do it. And yeah, I can cut out alcohol and smoking and all these other things. It doesn't. I still don't sleep well. I think it's probably it's just who I am. And maybe I would be able to do this business without that. Maybe that's part of my of if you will, the entrepreneur person, personality type. But I think sleep is important, and I'll illustrate it for you. Every episode of REM sleep is accompanied by an erection. Sleep doctors say. So you can actually estimate with our device how much REM sleep you're getting more accurately probably than you can with a peripheral like a Whoop or an Aura. That said, if I recently went, I don't know my device, maybe I average three nocturnal erections per night. I recently went on a business trip to LA for 3 nights, staying in an airport hotel. It was noisy. I wasn't sleeping all that well, and I had 1 or 0 nocturnal erections per night. Now, if that persisted, I have a problem. I want to rule out a cardiovascular problem.
Yeah.
But I would also be concerned that you want blood in your pants at night. One morning wood is not enough. You want blood in order to sustain healthy organs. So that sleep is critically important to your sexual health.
Okay. Yeah. I kind
I
of
give
thought you might go there.
I get a 9 or a 10, frankly. That's
Give
really
that a
important.
9 or a 10. Right on. Yeah. Yeah. All right. What about managing stress?
Well,
Stress
is there better?
has got to be
Is there
a
a better?
T killer,
Yeah,
a
but
libido killer potentially.
on the other hand, it's the great reliever of stress is sex. So
Right. Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, we know. I mean, I don't know if it's been studied in men. I mean, it's one of my things on my list to look at this week. But we know that in women, and the study was in women aged 35 to 45, as I recall, a relatively large group of women. If they had an orgasm a day for, I forget what it was. I think it was 60 days, 75 days. Their cortisol levels went down between 25 and 50%. Well, that's, we'd like to think, oh, I'm too stressed, can't have sex. Well, maybe you should make yourself have sex. I mean, it would, and I suspect the same thing is true for men. And I certainly have experienced, and I have customers and patients who tell me, well, somewhere or other, when I put the ring on and was able to perform again, I don't feel stressed anymore. So I think that sex is a great escape from stress.
Sex as a stress
Right.
management technique.
Yeah, and people and it's really underutilized, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
stress is very hard to manage. It's often we can't the stress
Right.
that we
A lot of the stressors are outside
Yeah,
of our
right.
control, right? I mean, there's political stress and world event stress and just, potentially
business,
family
money,
illnesses, et cetera.
money,
Sure.
money, children. These are I fret
Yeah.
I fret about the world,
Yeah.
but I don't fret about the world the way in which I do about my family.
Sure. The things closest to you. Yeah. Yeah. Good point. What about like household toxins? A lot of us are using, guys are still using Right Guard on their armpits and washing them with, I don't know, lava soap and got dryer sheets and all that. Have you seen any studies that how that would impact erection health or
I can't
not?
quantify that. We do know
Can't quantify it.
that microplastics are and endocrine inhibitors in our diet this is not a predictor, but there's a strong association between them and lower testosterone. But how much
Mm,
lower? I'm
right.
I certainly am concerned about it. But from a scientific, there's an intuitive concern level, but then there's a scientific perspective. I can't actually say that to any man, that one hot dog you're eating every day is that's why you have ED. I can't that I find hard to I
Yeah,
find hard to believe, frankly.
that would be a
Yeah,
stretch. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Certainly, if hot dogs are a standard part of your diet, might be a little
hmm
easy to make that
right.
association there. Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about. You've already kind of mentioned some of these, the more conventional things. When I think traditionally, what I see, and before this podcast, I had fun just kind of Googling, and of course now my social media is just chock full of all these morning wood, nitro wood, all these. You guys came up as an advertisement as well, so that's great. But I started seeing all these things, and I was curious because I was like, okay, here's nitro wood, here's morning wood, here's explosive, all these different expensive supplements that are marketed to guys,
Kevin,
and they've got all these ingredients. The typical ones are L-arginine and the ginseng, the horny goat weed, some other things I've never even heard of. I think we could pretty much, as a whole, can I just dismiss those? Where does that fall on my scale, 1 to 10, for hey, this is no, maybe you should look at
I
this
give
and
him I
versus
give him a one. I
save
give
your
him a
money,
one or a
Kevin.
two. The
Give them a one or a
Right, and
two. Okay.
I'll illustrate it. We used to have companies in this. Well, for one, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Sure.
Uh,
You mean men's
their
sexual health or
virility, their
erection
men's sexual
fitness
health,
in
right?
particular, right?
Um,
Fertility. Yeah.
when
Sure
and
is.
where
Yeah.
there are hopes, there are dopes.
Right. Where there are hopes,
Guys
there's dopes. Yeah.
guys with problems, or guys who want to avoid problems. Well, guys with problems will walk on broken glass to get a solution. Guys without
Right.
problems, well, why not spend a little bit of money? Not might work, might not work. And if you went to my bathroom right now and I walked in there, you'd see I've taken like 12, 15 supplements. I think only two of them really work. I think
Yeah.
the omega threes, the vitamin D3,
Yeah.
that works.
There you
That's
go.
really
Omega 3s
established.
and vitamin
But
D3.
the rest,
Yeah, there you
the
go.
rest of
Yeah.
it, and I won't mention this. I don't want
Yeah.
to condemn any stuff. But the rest of it,
Yeah.
I don't think it works. But you know what? Other people sent it to me, or I was curious about it,
Right.
that's why I
So
take
play
it.
with
Right,
it.
so I take it.
All right. What?
But what does work? So we've had lots of companies send us in the past, less so now because I think the word's gotten out that nothing works. Send us their magic supplement that's going to make us, and we
Right.
have not found single thing used alone to work. There's one company that did a study of a combination of three of these products. I'm not going to say what they are because I have an NDA with the company, and they're going to be promoting this in October when the paper is presented at American Urology Association. There's a combination of three of them that does increase nocturnal blood flow about
Seem to
20%.
have
So
an
it could
effect.
be
Okay.
that could work. But my recommendation to men is, if you're really interested in supplements, get a tech ring. Because if you get the ring, you can actually measure, is it
Right.
having any impact? I know personally for me, as an N of one, and we are all different, but an N of one, that nitric oxide alone has no impact. Hypothetically, it should. In theory, it
Right.
should. But a lot of things should work in theory. Heck, even the COVID shot should have worked in theory. A lot of things should work in theory, but don't work. And we need to be. I look. Sex is largely is in the subjective world, in the world of emotion, but it's also in the objective world. And what I want to deliver to people as a company is, I recognize the subjective component, but there's an objective component as well too. And I want to give you a tool that will make your sexual health evidence-based in terms
Yeah.
of what you do.
That's a part of this. I'm fascinated with this whole idea that we can now have these metrics that I can now go and test. Hey, okay, what happens if I take this ginseng, horny goat weed, nitro wood blend thing? Does it have any effect, right? Or am I just kind of spending money? And not to discount the placebo effect either, because that is a real thing. But I have a couple more of these I gotta
Go ahead,
ask
ask me.
you. So as I'm deep diving this, how about deer antler velvet or reindeer antler velvet?
Hey,
That one
send me
that
some.
one found me on internet, and
Send
I
me
tell you
some
what,
because
that is
I've
all
never
over
tried
my.
it. But I'll put but
Never tried that one.
my
That seems to be, or at least because I clicked on it, I suspect on my Facebook or my Instagram, and now it's just all over. I
how
can't get
about
away
this?
from it.
Maybe I should advertise this way. Hey, save a tiger, save a rhino, get a cock ring.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because unfortunately, we know that there are a lot of money being spent on crazy exotic supplements. I got one more.
Go ahead.
I gotta
Sure.
run by you because again, I saw this one was new to me. There are these. Have you seen the bracelets made with? I think it's what is it, hematite?
No.
Yeah. So fix your balls or you don't pay. And what they're saying is that's what the advertisement
Fix your
logo
balls.
is on this one. It says fix your balls or you don't pay. You buy this bracelet,
Right.
and the claim is that the iron-rich composition of hematite, these little I guess rocks, create this electromagnetic field that's going to stimulate testosterone and create this, turn you into this raging libido monster. Never heard
I
that?
never heard that one, and I think my reaction to
Never
that would
heard
be
that one? All right. Well, there's people out
it's
there making that claim. So
really,
now
really,
you can check that one out as
really,
well.
really unlikely.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to get one of the tech rings, and I'm going to buy one of those the hematite bracelet. I'll get back to you. I'll let you know.
Well,
Hey, man,
yeah, let me know
we
because
got to check
if
this
it works
hematite
for
out.
you,
Who
I'll
knew,
try it
right?
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I want to have fun with some of those because I know there is a
Here's another example.
huge
There's,
market out there.
beetroot. It's got to be
Beetroot.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
So
there's
right, a precursor to the, I guess that's
not
in the nitrous
it'll be
oxide
right.
kind of
So
camp,
I
right?
have a friend here in town in Bozeman here, who's probably probably your age, who swears by it. This guy's a PhD. He's an PhD in environmental engineering. He's a really smart guy. He swears by it. I told him, well, I'm skeptical. Let's test it.
Let's test. Yeah.
And the test showed it didn't work, but he still swears by it
Yeah. All right.
because it's
Sure. All right. So
I got guys that
the
prescribe.
data didn't bear it out, but something about it, right?
I got
Okay.
guys who swear by who tell me that Viagra works if they have it in their wallet or it's on their night table. So the placebo effect is really really significant.
True.
And with the
Yeah.
original Viagra studies that went to the FDA, there were 7 papers, 2 of which showed no more benefit than placebo. Frankly, the drug was probably the approval of the drug is kind of poor because it's not that effective. It's not that, its psychological effects are powerful.
Yeah, you think of something like Viagra. I remember them running the commercials where they'd say, "Hey, if you have an erection over 3 hours, go to the emergency room." And I think every guy in America is like, "It's an erection over 3
3 hours.
hours."
I'll take that.
And I think that's a devious way of actually promoting the
got it.
product. They're
Yes,
like,
it
"Ooh,
was.
is that a danger? Wow,
I'll take
yeah.
I'll take half
All right,
I'll take
well,
half the
I'm
dose.
willing to take my chances. Let's go." Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
brilliant marketing. Whoever came up with that, because of all the the side effects you might want to adverse side effects, that's the one you want to put in bold letters there. Hey, but very interesting. All right, Elliot, I've heard you talk about men should have sex at least twice a week. And I think what you're referring to there is, well, actually, let me ask you, why should a guy, did I correctly assume that, should a guy in my age bracket, your age
Yeah.
bracket, should we still be having sex twice a week? And
Well,
why?
I think
What's
someone
good
like you,
about that
Kevin,
besides it being fun?
I think I have
Yeah.
sex every day personally, but I believe that an orgasm a day keeps the doctor away. But I can't prove that.
Orgasm a day keeps the doctor away.
I can't
Okay.
prove that one, but
Okay.
I'm trying to live it, and I recommend it to you and
There you go.
your listeners. Just try to live it. No, well, one is there are benefits to orgasms. It lowers your cortisol level. It it's associated even decreasing the length of the flu by about 36 hours. So having
Really?
sex has a positive impact pretty much on every one of your systems. It's also a test of how well your heart or your cardiovascular function as well too. And it's also, as we get older, it is use it or lose it. You want to exercise those smooth muscles, and that's important. And that's important. If I could write a prescription for every man in the United States, I would, to have sex twice a weekend. But most guys.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but the benefits are really to our hormonal and to your cardiovascular system. Also, people, men who are in long-term relationships, if we know that keeps the relationship together. We know that it's well
Sure.
established that
Sure.
couples in committed relationships who have sex 3 times a week versus couples that have sex 2 or less times a month have half the divorce rate or separation rate. Well,
Oh, is that right?
given
Yeah,
the give,
that's not surprising.
yeah,
Yeah.
but given the impact of divorce and separation upon mental health, cardiovascular health, and upon the health of your children,
Hmm.
their children doing alcohol, doing drugs, finishing high school, finishing college, even their income, correlates with whether a couple stays together. So why wouldn't people? We doctors. Well, not you just jogged me about the 2 times a week recommendation. There's a big paper out of the UK, United Kingdom, I don't know, about 5, 6 years ago, looking at small thousands of men and saying, gee, who with these men age 70 to 80, if they had sex twice a week, their risk of cardiac death went down by 50%. Now they're still going to die.
Did you say 50, 50?
50%. The risk of sudden cardiac death.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
significant. And if
that is
we doctors
significant.
should be recommending sex to people. I might, have sex and enjoy the psychosocial and physical benefits of it.
Amen to that. I think that physicians should be prescribing, like on their prescription pad, have sex, lift weights, go run a little
Right.
bit, eat real food. There you go. Go do this
Yeah.
and then come back and let's see. Yeah, get a erection health ring and bring me back that data. Let's see what that says. That's very interesting. So as we're wrapping up here, so takeaways for guys then is, look, your erection fitness, your erection health, your sexual health is a leading indicator, or like you said, that canary in the coal mine of your overall health, specifically your cardiac health. And we want to pay attention to that. So if you are somebody who's just writing this off, I can't get it up, or when I get it up, I just can't keep it up. I no longer wake up with morning wood. That's a red flag. And we should probably be addressing that. We should be taking that as seriously as we take any other system in our body failing. Is that fair?
That's fair. Yeah, the takeaway is
Yeah.
that, hey, we're all on the road. Fitness is dysfunction. If we want to maintain our fitness, follow Kevin's recommendations. I'll write the prescriptions.
You'll write the prescription? All right.
Put-
Yeah, we'll go into business here. Yeah.
take this as seriously as you do your blood pressure, your weight. I mean, so many guys that I've had some people tell them, hey, the ring's expensive. Well, it's less expensive than your Whoop, and you have a blood pressure
Right.
cuff at home. You have a digital scale at home. It's not too expensive. You want to know a man over the age of 45 or 50, especially a man with hypertension, diabetes, should want to know their baseline sexual health because then you can follow it.
Trend
Yeah,
it.
and
Right.
look, I had a guy complain to me about a month ago that, but I'm normal now. I spent this money. I said, well, that's kind of funny because if you go to your doctor and doctor says electrocardiogram and it's normal, you don't complain. Oh, it's normal. Why do you even get this test? No, you're happy.
Yeah,
I,
that's
I
right.
recently
Yeah.
got a CT calcium score. Costs a company $100. I recommend that to every man over the age of 45, 50. Get a CT calcium score. Establish a baseline of your health, your coronary arteries. Hey, the test came back normal. I got the heart of a 50-year-old. Okay, great. Did I complain about having to spend a
Right.
couple
Now,
$100?
yep.
No, not at all. Well, the ring, it's a twofer because you're getting the data and it also functions as a ring to sustain your erection. So, one, get your data, and two, put a ring on it. If you want to maximize your performance, put a ring on it and take a pill. Be an alpha.
Put a ring on it.
Be
Take
an
a
alpha
pill.
cock.
All right. Yeah. There you go. And I suppose you could start with just the ring, right?
Yes.
If you're not currently using the pill. Yeah. Yep. Non-farm. All right. So, and then just to back up, the performance ring, I'm imagining it's a lot like my Aura or somebody's Whoop, where I've got on my cell phone, right? I'm able to I've downloaded the app, and that's where my performance, my erectile fitness scores, my number of erections per night, the duration, the firmness, all of that's being measured, right?
Right,
And
being
tracked
measured
over
and
time.
compared to men within your age bracket. And we
Right.
send notifications like, "Hey Kevin, you're having twice as much sex this month as last month. Way to go! What's changed?" Or
High five.
right,
Yeah.
or it could
Right.
be, "Hey Elliot, your erections are whatever 30% less firm now. Has there been some change in medications?
Has there been some changes?
Get,
Okay. Yeah.
get data, see your doctor."
All right. And just to put, I'm trying to think of somebody out there listening to this. What's their concerns? What's their hesitation? Another one might be, okay, so if you're going to measure these things overnight, I'm going to wear this thing overnight. You already mentioned that, hey, we've changed the materials, but this is something that's comfortable. I can put this on. It's not as I'm sleeping and I'm having sex with this thing.
Yes.
It's not distracting. It's
About
comfortable. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. About 5 to 7% of our customers will say on the first use that it's uncomfortable. Well, guys aren't used to it. I'm an emergency medicine doctor background. To my mind, discomfort is not that feels different. In my mind, discomfort is hey, it's a needle in the eyeball. But the device, I don't even notice it's on. People need to get used to it. I take off my rings at night, take my watch off at night. I don't. Guys are not used to having things on. So for this small, it's about 7%. If you're gonna wear this overnight, maybe night 1 or 2, you're gonna wake up in the night and think this feels odd. Just unhook it and rehook it and put it back into place. It's like like we watch women adjust their bras because bras, they might pull on the skin in some way. We got pubic hair as well too that you want to pull out of the way. We've had no safety issues whatsoever. Some guys I'll tell them, hey, wear around the house for an hour or two. Forget about the data. Just get used to it. Most guys, by the third use, they don't have any problem whatsoever.
All right. Okay. So there you go, guys. If those of you that are interested in erection fitness and sexual health and just your overall health in general, and you want to get a baseline, and you should, and to track your erection fitness, check this out. Now, let's see, Elliot, we have a coupon code for our listeners here, and it's Alpha Edge all run together. I believe that'll get you 15% off, but you folks check the show notes for this episode. You can get that on whatever app you're listening to this on, and I'll have links to all of that stuff in there. But Elliot, how can people connect with you? How can they learn more about this technology, learn more about you?
Sure.
Where do we want to send them?
Go to FirmTech, MyFirmTech.com, and we send out newsletters regularly. And you just click on the science section and see the research that's been done with the device or that's underway with the device, looking at every aspect of men's health, from penis pumps, T-shot, testosterone replacement therapy, P-shots, shockwave therapy, penis pumps. All this is being studied. You can reach me personally at Elliot, ELLIOT, at myfirmtech.com, and you can find me at LinkedIn and if you reach out to me on Instagram, you get my marketing team. So if you want to get a hold of me personally, contact me on LinkedIn, or just go to Elliot, ELLIOT, at myfirmtech.com.
Or email. All right. And again, folks, I'll throw all that stuff into the show notes. You guys can find that there. Elliot, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing all of your wisdom and knowledge with us. I think as guys, this is a fascinating subject that just doesn't get talked about enough. It's just, I guess it's kind of taboo still, but really applaud the work you're doing and just encourage you to keep up the great work, man.
Thanks so much. It was great.
Okay, men, that's our show for this week. Don't forget to download our free guide titled How to Raise Your Testosterone Naturally. You can find the download link in the show notes for this episode on whatever app you're listening to this podcast on. If you've enjoyed today's show, here are 3 ways you can support us. Number 1, share this episode with a friend. Number 2, make sure to like and follow this show, and please consider leaving us a 5-star review. Number 3, give us a follow over at Instagram. We're at Alpha Edge Army. So that's Alpha Edge Army all run together. I really appreciate you men taking the time to listen. And until next week, stay strong.